Hello.
Hello.
Who's here? It's not Barbara Gordon. It's Barbara Jackson. And I'm still going to probably call you Barbara Gordon a few more times. You know, I did. It's a thing now, and I think everybody should just start calling you Batgirl. I think that's what we should do. That should be your nickname.
I guess there's worse nicknames.
Yeah, that's not a bad one. All right. Hello, everybody. Again, just anybody that's new here, this whole first part of the show, Barbara and I are just going to be having a conversation. We're going to learn about Barbara, where she lives, what she does, what makes her tick. We're not going to be looking at the chat at all. In fact, it's going to be shut off. It's not going to be open. So if people come in and say hi, we're not going to see it. If people have questions, we're not going to see it. So please, mods, if you would, I see some of the amazing mods in here. If you would, if somebody comes in and does ask questions or stuff, just remind them to hold off and that we can't even see the chat. I hate for people to feel left out. So, and with that, I'm getting rid of the chat. The chat is gone. So I can't see anything. Okay. Hi, Barbara.
Hey, Rico.
So let's see. California, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
What part of California?
Bay Area.
Okay.
At the South Bay near San Jose. And, I've
Okay.
lived in the area all my life, but I keep moving south.
Santa Rosa, is that way farther south still? Isn't that closer to?
Santa Rosa is way north. They're about 3 hours north of us.
Okay. I have an uncle who lives in Santa Rosa, and I didn't know. I haven't been to California in a very long time, so I wasn't sure how
Really
close.
nice town. It's very pretty. A lot of wineries. I mean, even though Napa, which is the next valley over to the east, gets all the publicity, Santa Rosa has some really good wineries there too.
We, you don't hear about the New York wineries that often, but because of the lakes,
Oh yeah.
there's Finger Lakes and Lake Ontario. This area is actually, there's a lot of, there's a vineyard right on the next road over. It's our neighborhood vineyard. She's won actually a lot of awards and stuff with her wines. And it's a really interesting story because she came from Japan. But she it's a one-woman show. She grows the grapes, she mixes them, she does the art for the bottles. I mean, she does everything. So it's amazing. It's very cool. Are you a wine connoisseur? Do you enjoy wines?
Wine was okay. I liked it, but it wasn't my preferred. I think I liked. It was kind of a toss-up between good beer and mixed drinks.
Okay.
Since February 2018, I don't drink alcohol.
Okay. I noticed you use past tense. You said liked. So you stopped.
Well, I liked it a lot.
Okay. Is that why you stopped?
Yeah, I mean, I guess what you'd say, I think a lot of people didn't really realize how much I drank because I was very good at hiding it. But it started to take a health toll.
Gotcha.
Stomach digestion, other things.
Yeah.
It got to a point where it wasn't fun. It was almost seemed like a chore.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
It was tough, but it wasn't as hard as I expected it to be.
Well, that's good. I mean, that's silver lining, I guess, that you were able to just quit.
Well,
right,
it helps that people around me, I mean, they drink alcohol, but none of them are big drinkers. Not a lot of partying and stuff.
Gotcha. Okay. So you said you've lived around San Jose most of your life, around the Bay Area, right? Were you born in that area?
Well, kind of. I've lived about half my life in San Jose, which is about 45 minutes south of San Francisco. But I was born in a little town called South San Francisco, which is not part of San Francisco. It's just like one of the towns just immediately south of it. Just a bedroom community. I was born there. We moved a little bit further south to Belmont when I was late elementary school. And then as an adult, I've been living down there since.
Gotcha. And if it's home, you don't want to go anywhere. You don't want to move anywhere else.
No, everybody I know is here.
Yeah.
And my family on my mother's side has been here since like the 1880s. So I'm pretty native. Yeah,
I'd say that's a pretty long time. And funny you said the South San Francisco reminds me. There's a very little village just south of us, and there's one called Rose, and then south of Rose is North Rose. I never understood how they're part of the same township. They're two different villages, but North Rose is south of the town of Rose, so it doesn't make sense. It's strange. That just reminded me of it though. So have you done any traveling to speak of? Do you like to travel? Have you got around to see places or?
I haven't really traveled a lot in the United States. I've traveled to most of the western states, but I haven't really been past Iowa east, which I know is not east, but to us it's east. But I've been to Europe a couple times, and I've been to Mexico a couple times, Hawaii a few times. That's pretty much. Oh, I did go to some places in the Caribbean. We went on a couple cruises.
Gotcha. Any place that really stands out, like that might be someplace you'd like to move in the future? If family, let's say you could bundle up all the family that you like, and bring all the family that you like with you. Is there some place that you'd like to live that you've traveled to?
Actually, the only thing that comes to mind is a little town. I don't know how little it is because I haven't been there since 1976, but it's called Sorrento, and it's on the coast west of Rome. I think it's kind of near Capri, but I don't know if it's a little north or south. Back then, I don't know what it's like now, but back then it was just the most picturesque, beautiful little quiet town. But they had a lot of good amenities, and they were near the highway and all that. I did like Italy. Italy was very nice.
Yeah, I've never been out of North America. I really should have rectified that, but I've never been over there. I've never been to Italy. Is there anything else? I mean, just a beautiful town, or was there anything about the lifestyle or anything that spoke to you really?
Yeah, the lifestyle. They take a long time over meals. They don't rush things, or at least it's changed. But
sure.
And everybody was pretty friendly, but reserved, which is fine with me. People say, like the French, they always get this reputation for being rude or snooty. And that's not it. I found them all to be the nicest people. They're formal. They're just more formal than Americans. They aren't going to act super friendly with you if you're not actually a friend, but they'll be super polite to you. They'll help you if you need, all that, but they're not going to be buddy-buddy. And I think some Americans kind of get, maybe not so much now, but I think some naive travelers kind of like feel like, oh, that's kind of unfriendly. And it's just different mindset. I mean, once they know you, you're golden.
Yeah. I've heard that too. I've heard that same type of thing, that a lot of Europe is just a lot more reserved in things. Mm-hmm. And they find it weird that we are so friendly, and they find it fake. They find our friendliness fake. And I mean, for some people it probably is, but I think for a lot of us, it's just not. It's,
Yeah. I didn't mind it. When I was younger, it really wasn't a thing with adults hugging each other when they meet. Relatives, sure, maybe close friends, but just, acquaintances and people you see every once in a while. Yeah. And then sometime when I was in my 20s, it sort of changed and everybody was hugging each other. Yeah. It's okay, but it's like, I don't really know you that well.
Well, I'm definitely guilty of that. I'm a hugger for sure, because I feel like I do know people, like acquaintances, just like you said, acquaintances. So like fellow fish fan people, when we go to like the Clash and stuff, I'm a big hugger. I go up and hug people. And I could tell there was a few people, especially when we were leaving and I was giving hugs, there was a few people that were a little like, okay, and I felt bad. They could have said no. I wouldn't have been offended. But I'm a big hugger.
Like it. I've gotten really used to it over the years, and I'll hug anybody if they want it. That's not a problem. But I remember when it first became popular, I was kind of uncomfortable with it. So when I went to Europe, it was like, oh, that's great. Nobody wants to hug me.
So you like that little bit of, I use standoffish, but it's not really standoffish, but that reserved nature, you like that a little bit more. A little bit more of your own space.
Yeah, it can certainly be taken too far. But yeah.
Gotcha. So I guess we'll change it up a little bit, and we because you haven't moved or you haven't lived in a lot of places, so that makes it sort of easy to wrap that part up.
Well, I did live one place for a while. I lived in Europe itself when I was for 10 months when I was between 14 and 15.
Nice.
My mother was a teacher and she took a sabbatical, and my older siblings had to work. So it was just two of us, and we just traveled around. So that was kind of an interesting experience. Other than that, I haven't lived anywhere else.
And so that was was it a good bonding time? Because being a 14-year-old,
yeah,
that's like, I think for parents, that's the worst time for kids. Did you get along with your mom really well? Do you still? Is she still around? Is she?
Oh, she's gone now, but I got along with her pretty well at that point. I think it was kind of like I was a captive audience. I didn't put up any fusses, but I do remember we had one argument because early on I kept saying, like, because she was worried about money. We were going to have to sell the house, and then they're going to wire the money, and it wasn't quite sold yet. So she kept saying, "Well, we can't afford that." And I was like, "Well, where are we going next?" Well, it's just like she kept keeping everything to herself. Like, you don't have to worry about that. And I'm like, "Look," finally, kind of had a thing with her. I said, "I'm not a kid, and I find it very anxiety producing when I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I feel like I need to know what's going to happen next week, how much money we have, how long it's going to take." And she kind of was like, "Oh, yeah, I guess you are old enough to do that." And she kind of flipped, and then it was much more equitable, at least during the trip. But then when I got home, I had issues because, for 9 months, I didn't go to school. It was during the school year. I ended up just dropping back a grade. But it was like everything was childish. I mean, I was still a child, but I had this idea that I was so much more mature, which
worldly.
got me in trouble a few times. But at the time, I didn't really have my rebellious stage. I was like 16, 17.
Family, you talk about your mom a lot. Was your dad still in the picture at that point?
No, my dad passed when I was almost 10, 9 and a half.
Oh, okay.
Typical, 50s heart attack, smoking,
Gotcha.
little old. And that was like 2 or 3 years before they had bypass surgery. So he had, I think, at least 3 heart attacks, and then like the last one. That was it.
Wow, 10 years old. That's tough. That is.
Yeah, it was tough. And I think my older brother and sister almost had it worse though, because they were 18 and 20.
Yeah.
And they were just getting to the point in their life where they can be like more one-on-one with a parent.
Yeah.
That was it. But my mom is gone now, but she lived till she was 84. She just passed in 2008. So she lived quite a long time after.
You mentioned brother and sister. Is just 3 of you? 3 kids?
Yeah. And they're older, 12, and my brother's 12 years older. My sister's 10 years older. And then there was a gap. And then
that's a lot like my family, except I was the middle. So I have an older brother. I'm the middle, and then I had a sister who was 10 years younger than me. So my brother and I, we're pretty close, but the same exact thing. It was 10 years difference between me and my youngest sister. So, but I was the middle child. I was the one that was never in any of the pictures or anything. He always showed, my older brother was in all the pictures, and then my baby sister, but I was never in anything because of the middle child. That's what happens with the middle child.
Yeah, my sister complained about that. She said that she's the middle child. Although it was so far afterwards that I guess my parents weren't always the most noticed. They didn't always notice stuff. And the house wasn't baby proof at all anymore. And they had preteens.
Oh, yeah.
And I got into my brother's chemistry set. And I had to have my stomach pumps. I got into my sister's iron pills, and I had my stomach pumps.
Wow.
So then after that, it was like, yeah, maybe we better start being much more careful about stuff.
They just forgot what it was like to have a baby in the
Yeah,
house.
they
10
did.
years, that's I get it.
And
I
my mother
get it.
was working at the time too, so the household was probably a lot more chaotic at that point than it was when they were little.
Oh yeah. Um, so we said older brother, middle sister, and yourself. What about you? Do you have any kids? Do you have? Are you in a long-term relationship? What's your family configuration?
Yeah, I have two girls. So women now. uh, they're 33 and 30. They just had their birthdays. Well, actually, no, my youngest daughter won't have her birthday till next month. We just went out with my older daughter's birthday. Summer babies. And my husband, I've been married to him since 1984.
Oh, okay. Wow. Yeah, that's
I haven't
that.
counted it up.
That's
After like 28, I kind of like, I have to sit down and like, how many years has it been?
Yeah, that's great. I mean, that longevity like that is amazing. I've been married to my second wife for 30 years, and
That's a long
I mean,
time.
even that. But yeah, that's so kudos to you. Are the girls still close to home? Do you still see them quite often, or do they live elsewhere?
No, they still live in the area.
Gotcha.
My older daughter moved to Colorado for almost a year, the first year of COVID, and just it didn't work out. My son-in-law is a tattoo artist, and a lot of people do tattoos there, but small ones, and he tends to do like real big ones, and so he wasn't getting a lot of business. So they ended up moving back.
Oh, gotcha. You said about art. Well, we'll get into that because I know you are an artist as well. I've seen some of your work, so we'll talk about that later, though, when we get into your hobbies and stuff. Oh, excuse me. Let's see. What else are we going to talk about? Where are we going next? We talked about your kids. We talked about where you live. You mentioned some things to me before we started too. Like a lot of people in the community, a little bit of depression, a little bit of anxiety and stuff like that. As are there days when it's debilitating? Does it get that bad for you? Is it something that you can manage better, or where are you at? Because it's sort of a spectrum, I would say, right?
Yeah, I think so. I've kind of struggled with mild depression on and off most of my adult life. But after the lockdown, kind of in the middle of it, I had a really bad time. I couldn't get off the couch for weeks. And I was like really scared for some reason, even though I'm not normally a nervous type person. But I ended up going to see some professionals. And long story short, it took me a while to find somebody because there's a shortage of therapists in our country. But I found a really nice lady, and I also started taking some antidepressants, and it helped a lot. Now I get kind of down maybe once a week, maybe less, maybe more, but not. It was every day. It was like, I don't know, there was about a 3 months period where I cried almost every day for no particular reason. I just in the middle of the afternoon. But yeah, now I'm feeling like 80% better. So if anybody's feeling like that, even if you only can talk to somebody a little bit, definitely reach out, and find a professional or a group or something. Yeah, I think it had a lot to do with we talked about this a little earlier. I have ADHD, and I think what happened all my life is I had it as a kid. I was probably one of the first to be diagnosed around here because I kind of close to there's San Francisco. I think there was a research area or something about it. And my mother was in education, so I don't know if she pulled strings or whatever. But yeah, they said I had ADD, is what they called it then. And then when I was about in 6th grade, they said, well, she'll grow out of it. They grow out of it. It's just a kid, right?
Yeah.
So starting in like junior high, I just kept getting worse and worse in school. It's like a night, and it was like every day I'm gonna get my act together. I'm gonna remember assignments and turn things in. It just got worse and worse. And I'm really good at cramming and getting A's on tests. Where I suck is when I'd like, as a professor, I'd like you to keep a journal and write it in every day and write your assignment. That I can't do. I can't do. And like some people had it like almost half of their grade. It was like, that's not fair. I know the stuff. I know the subject. Why am I being graded on how well I can keep a journal?
Yeah.
But anyway.
I'm with you on that. Yeah, it's difficult. I love the idea of it. I think that it's helpful for people who can do it, who can put down their thoughts and get some of that out of their heads. But I can't do it either. Anyways, keep going.
Where was I? Oh,
yeah, I interrupted you.
So I ended up, and because also it was interrupted for the Europe trip. And when I got back, I just didn't have any interest in school. I wanted to go to work. I just wanted to work. I didn't even think I wanted to go to college. I just said, I'm just going to go to work. And I took, also because I dropped a grade behind. So my junior year was actually supposed to be my senior year. And and I had to go to a different school that I had gone to before, and I didn't like it. So I just took the GED and left. And then I signed up for junior college and started working. And it was kind of the same thing. I'd do really well at the beginning of the semester, and then I'd start tanking, and then I'd have to scramble. And I got through 3 and a third years, I guess. And then I just quit. I just said, nah, I can't do this.
Yeah.
And that 3.5 years took like 5 years.
Gotcha. Yeah. Back to you. We were talking about therapy and antidepressants and stuff. What would you say would be the more helpful of those two things for you personally? Which one was it? Was it more the therapy that helped out, or was it more the antidepressant, or was it the perfect combination?
I think it was a combination, definitely, but I think it also was because I also do take ADHD medication. And I'm taking Wellbutrin now, which is also prescribed off-label for ADHD if you can't take a stimulant. So I was taking those two together and talking to a therapist, and that combination really worked. Because a good portion of my anxiety over all the years is my being upset at myself for not finishing shit.
No, you're good. Shit's fine. You can say shit all you want. Shit.
So, once I got medicated to where I could actually do more things and finish stuff and didn't feel so disappointed in myself, that helped depression immensely. But
gotcha.
I needed the medication to get over the hump.
Yeah.
Get it started, as it were.
I think that's true for most people. I think it is a combination. The therapy is definitely priceless. Just having somebody that you can spill those thoughts to and tell things to. And maybe and help direct it a little bit.
It helped me a lot because I ended up telling them a lot of things about my past life that other people in my life had kind of like, it's not a big deal, everybody goes through it. And they were like, no, that's a big deal. That was not right. And that, I don't know how you dealt with that. So it was like, I kind of felt like I was a bit gaslit when I was younger, that everything was my fault and nobody else feels this way. But that the therapist said, no, that's not at all the case. And what you went through was pretty bad. So I felt kind of vindicated. It's like, this shit wasn't good.
Yeah. Well, I always appreciate when people, because I know that can be difficult to talk about, but I think a lot of people in our community do have, similar traits and things that they go through like that. And I've always said that every time somebody talks about it, I think it makes other people not feel so alone and realize that, hey, there's other people that are going through this too. And yeah, it's your personal experience, and it's different for you because you're the only one experiencing it. But still, there's other people that at least have an idea of what you've been through, and
Right.
maybe there's people out there that even within our community that you can reach out to talk to.
Yeah.
I'm one of those people. I'm one of those people. If you want to talk to me, my email address is at the top of the screen, and I'm open to anybody who would like to. If you're having thoughts about things, if you just want somebody to vent to, send me an email. I'm here for that. So,
That's
all right. Sorry, I didn't mean to go off on a tangent.
What was I going to say? I lost my see.
Sorry. Yeah, that was me.
I can forget what I was saying, and I said it 5 words ago.
I'm with you. I do the same thing. I think when you get to a certain age, that helps it too, though, right? I mean, stuff starts. You start to forget things, even in the middle of the sentence. Sometimes it happens.
And I think there's a lot of people. I know I am one, and I've heard a few people in the community say so. But I think that fish keeping in general is something that sometimes people who have anxiety issues or other depression or whatever can turn to sometimes, and I think it helps a lot.
I think so too.
That's the only thing. There's lots of things, but having something to take yourself out of yourself for a while is really good.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's why there's so many of us in the community that do have these, I don't want to say issues, but have these traits or whatever, because you're right. I think that, fish keeping is a great tool for all that kind of stuff. It really does help. So, what about your kids too? Do they, are either one of them dealing with ADHD or anything? Have they had any of those types of things?
My older daughter was diagnosed, and I think she still takes meds. I don't really pry into that.
Yeah.
But it definitely helps. I do think my younger daughter, I don't know, she's never been, she didn't have the same kind of symptoms, although she may be, but just maybe not to the same extent. And my older daughter's fine now. She's really got things under control, I think. But yes, it is somewhat inherited. And I do believe that there are family members on both sides that have it and are undiagnosed.
Yeah. I was just curious about that. Having 3 kids myself and seeing, I definitely see some of it manifest itself in the kids as well, all 3 of them. So I was just curious. Okay, let's shift gears again. Let's go someplace a little happier. Let's talk about your artwork. So you've donated some of your artwork for different things, different events. Was it? I don't know. Maybe it was just the one event. Was it Renee?
I think it was
just the one.
Yeah.
What do you like to do? What's your style of art? What do you like to paint, or what? Where do you live?
Painting, sketching. I do a lot of landscapes. I haven't really done people much in a long time, but I'm kind of starting to branch out a little bit and more like crowd scenes and stuff. I mostly work in acrylic because I don't really like to deal with the turpentine and stuff like that. But I will admit that acrylic paint has come a long ways, but there's still something about oil paint that's just a little bit more luminous. But the cleanup and everything is a pain, so I don't do that. And I like to sketch. I've done some colored pencils and chalk.
Is that one of yours behind you on? I'm going to put you on the big screen here.
Okay.
It's hard to do, isn't it? Right.
This one is not. A friend of mine from long ago did that, and they had prints made, and that's a print of their work. This is one. Yeah. The top one above there. I did that, but it's not like It's not my original work. It's a copy. I did it one of those when
Yeah.
you get drunk and you paint.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. That's what's it called? Is it called The Wave?
Something like that. A view of Mount Fuji, something like that.
Yeah. Famous.
Yeah, it was fun. And then let's see.
It's hard to do, isn't it?
Yeah, this one is mine. And then I think that one might be Bex. And then the one below it is Priscilla. Priscilla hasn't been around for a long time, but she's a very good artist too.
Yeah.
And then here is one I'm working on. It's just sketched out now.
Can you? Is it close enough you can get it, or do you not feel comfortable getting it? I would just like, if you don't mind showing it to us.
Let's see,
very
it's
cool.
A mountain scene. It was I took a picture of in the mountains one time, and it's was this old building in a field that was like falling down. So that's just the sketching part.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, thank you for showing us.
Sure. And
Oh, you got another one here. I'll put you back.
that's the picture that it's from.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, that's cool. It looks like The Sound of Music for some reason.
Kind of, yeah.
Got that vibe to it.
It's the foothill. Well, it's the Sierras.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, kind of near. Not near Tahoe, but the Sierras.
You know, it's amazing how many artists we have, or just artistic people that we have in the community too. You know, I wonder if there's something else about fish keeping that speaks to the artists too, because we have so many amazing ones. There's tons of them. So
maybe it's that people who are a little more artistic appreciate the, I don't know, the artistry of fish a little.
Maybe, yeah. Because I have no artistic skills in any way. I mean, nothing. And you know, I love keeping fish. It's definitely my number one hobby right now. It has been for the last 3 years. So, but I have no skills, none. I can't do anything.
The way you've arranged behind you is kind of nice and balanced and artistic. It doesn't always have to be traditional art. You've got some creativity there. Creativity.
If you saw the rest of the room, though, you'd be like, "Oh my god," because it's a mess.
Got it framed. It's your picture that you're sitting.
Yeah, it's bad. One of these days I really need to clean because it is just not. It's not a good scene at all. I'd be embarrassed if somebody saw like the scene that I can see right now. I'd be embarrassed. It's how bad it is.
There's a reason why you can't see the rest of this either.
Yeah. Do you have any other skills, artistic skills specifically? So you like to sketch, you like to paint?
I've done a little sculpting, but not for many years. That was kind of fun. A little expensive. Let's see. Yeah, that's probably about the only thing I used to be into gardening a lot, and I guess you could say like containers. So I used to do a lot of fancy containers. I worked for a plant nursery for many years, and I would make up containers for sale.
Oh, nice.
A lot of that stuff now comes already done from the wholesalers, those hanging baskets.
Yeah.
Back then, this would be in the 80s, we had to make them ourselves because they didn't really exist. Most of them did. Not the ones that are packed with lots of different flowers.
Yeah.
So that was fun. I did that for a while.
So you would decide what looks good or works good together and pull it all together and make a nice. That's pretty cool. So was that your main part of your job for them? Was putting those together?
No, I was it was a small nursery, so everybody pretty much did a little everything.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
But there were only a couple of, maybe there was 3 people that did the baskets. People would, if anybody who was interested was welcome to try, but yeah, if they didn't sell, they didn't get asked again.
Yeah. That's pretty neat. I would, maybe I could I could probably do something with that, putting together different plants and stuff, That's something I would enjoy because I like doing that stuff around the house. I mean, we've got quite a few things outside. We got a lot of stuff inside. We got a lot of greenery around us. We definitely like nature. So, well, that's a great segue, though. You started talking about where you work. So why don't we go way back to the beginning your very first job ever. What was the very first thing you did? Well, I mean, was it babysitting? Was it something along those lines for pay, or what? Where would you start?
Yeah, I'd say for money, the first thing would have been babysitting. I would say money from other people. Babysitting. Although my mother used to try and bribe us with, she wanted us to do weeding, me and my friends, in the summer. So when I was younger, she'd bribe us that we would get 5 cents a weed. And we did it for a few days over the summer, and I was like, yeah, that's not good money. We're not going to do that anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, I started babysitting a little bit. I did that from 11 to 13 or so. And then my first grown-up job, I guess you'd say, was I worked summer when I was 16. I worked for a temp agency, and I worked at a insurance company, basically just going through claims and sorting them as they came in. You know, this one goes to this department, this one goes to that department, you know, and check.
Yeah.
And I think I found fraud one time. This person had an apartment house that they looked like they were insuring twice. I was like, wait a minute, this is the same building. Are they allowed to do that? Take out 2 insurance? And so I went and took it to my supervisor. She's like, that's not right. I don't know whatever happened to it because I never heard back from it. But
yeah.
That was fun. I did that for the summer. I felt very grown up. I could drive to work on Saturday.
Yeah.
But it also was a job that made me realize I didn't really want an office job.
Didn't what?
Didn't want an office job.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
I could help it. Yeah. And then I worked retail on and off through school and college. Mostly I worked in a department store called the Emporium, which doesn't exist anymore. But it was a small chain in the Bay Area, and I worked at the one that was near, there was a shopping center near Stanford University, it's in between San Francisco and San Jose. It's in Palo Alto, which is a city between them. And then there was a shopping center there. And so I worked at the Emporium for many years. I really enjoyed that job, but it didn't pay very well. Yeah. Then I got married, and then I had been going to college part-time, and then I decided that maybe that was maybe that was a problem. Maybe I just needed to focus directly on college. So when I got to be a junior, and I ended up going to San Jose State because I was going to the local community college before that. So transferred to San Jose State, art department, and proceeded to tank because gotcha. My mother said, yeah, you know, that's fine. This was before I got married. So you live at home and, you know, I'll pay for stuff until you finish. But yeah, I was like, I went through the first year and started the second year. And then it was just like, that's done. Also, I had gotten married and moved in with my husband, and I kind of didn't, it was like, I felt like I was going to a different part of my life, and then I didn't want to do that anymore.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
But I regret that. And I told myself, well, I can always go back later.
Yeah.
But I didn't. I think it's just because I really don't like school. I love learning. I like school if I'm not required to do it.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I've taken classes for fun and stuff, but when I have to do it and I have to do things I don't.
Yes. Yes. I understand 100%. I'm the same exact way. I enjoy learning as well. I love doing things at my own pace. And if somebody tries to force me into something, I dig in my heels and I'm like, no, I'm not interested. I'll go this way. Just leave me alone. I'm going to go this way, And so I get it. I understand.
You were going to do that, but then they suggested it. No, now I can't do it because you said so.
Yeah, a little stubbornness in there, right? A little stubbornness. Yeah.
So I started working more full time, did mostly retail, and then so I was about 29 and a half. I got pregnant and had my first kid, and then 3 years later, I had my second, and then the next 10 years, I was just really busy. My, retail doesn't pay great, and so the amount of money that I was making working would have gone, every single bit of it would have gone to daycare.
Yeah.
That's stupid.
Yeah.
So I stayed home and I did the Girl Scout leader thing and parent, the classroom parent and all that kind of stuff.
Years. That is priceless, and it's so many families can't do that. And I'm not saying that the woman has to be the one to stay home by any means. It doesn't matter.
No, we have friends who the husband did that.
Yeah. We were having some issues with my oldest son with school, and my wife decided she was same kind of thing. If it would have just cost so much to take him, he was older at that time, but to make him go to a babysitter or something like that. So she quit working and she stayed home with him, and everything turned around. And there needs to be a parent. If you've got kids, there needs to be a parent at home, and it sucks. It's very difficult, but the way our society is built, those kids that do have a parent at home just always do so much better. And you can't always do that. I get that. There's single parents out there. There's parents that can't afford that. I understand. I'm not throwing shade at anybody, but if it's possible, man, if one of the parents can stay home, it's just huge. So that's awesome that you were able to do that.
Yeah. Well, my mother worked her whole life at a time when, it's kind of funny, at a time when it wasn't considered cool, 50s and 60s, and she actually got talked about and talked down about because she did that. And then when I went back to work, I got the opposite, where there were a few people that kind of acted as if I was wasting my life.
Yeah.
You can't win. You can't win.
We're going to judge.
Yeah.
It had to be especially difficult because even into the 70s, a lot of times women couldn't have a checking account in their own names. They had to have a husband or a father or somebody to put a checking account into. So,
do you think that was? I think that must have been by state, because I don't remember that being the case here. My mother had her own checking account.
Yeah, maybe it was just in certain places. But I know at one time I think it was a pretty widespread. Well, no, I'm not going to go research.
Well, no, I think 10 or 15 years before that, it definitely was. But she and my father separated for a while, and so she had her own finances from then on, and that was about 1966, somewhere around there. But again, this is a much more metropolis, liberal,
more progressive area.
Exactly. So I think there were so many more women working in this area, maybe compared to other parts of the country, that just wasn't practical. Really.
Yeah, that could have been very regulated. I just remember reading that, and I don't remember exactly. I'm sorry?
I think it was true for a lot of places, and definitely was true at least 15 or 20 years earlier. Yeah.
It's crazy to think about. I mean, it's really not that long ago. It's really not. I mean, if for us, it feels just like, I don't know. I don't want to speak for you, but for me, it feels just like it's a few years ago, a couple decades maybe.
Mm-hmm. But 1999 was only 10 years ago or something.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. It feels like. Okay, so where did we leave off? What was the last job that you went? You went back to work.
Stay-at-home parent, and then when my kids were in high school, I went back to work, and that's when I went back to working in the garden center, and I worked there for about 5-6 years, and then they actually they went out of business, and then. So I moved to a different one, and I worked for them for a couple of years, and then my husband retired. So I decided I'd retire.
Gotcha. Yeah, so you guys can
about 10 years ago
do stuff together. Out of all the different stuff you did all those years, does any one of them stick out as your favorite, the job you like the most? you enjoyed the most?
job I liked the most was working at the garden center. I mean, there's only one particular thing I didn't like about it, but it just doesn't pay.
Yeah.
It kind of sucks.
I can almost smell it. Those places have a certain smell that's so earthy and homey, and I absolutely love walking. They remind me of my grandpa. My grandpa was a big gardener. He's been gone a really long time, but when we were little, every weekend we'd go to their house, and one year he built a swimming pool. And then turned that, like a couple years later, was a big pond and stuff, and it had bridges over it and pagodas and stuff. And he just had a million different kinds of plants all the time. That's always what he was doing. And every time we went to his house, the outside, we'd walk into that garden and it always smelled that same, there's black-eyed Susans and the koi pond, and just the smells. And I get the same sense when I go to some of those garden centers. It makes me miss my grandpa a little bit.
Yeah.
Even though he's been gone for, he died early, so.
That's too bad.
Excuse me.
Yeah, the part I didn't really like was unloading trucks.
Yeah, I get that. That's never fun.
My back was not right. I had issues with my back for a long time, and then after I retired, my back cleared up. It got much better.
Gotcha.
So I think it was,
Just strain from it.
Yeah, but I liked once everything was in the yard, I liked putting stuff away and liked stocking it. And I liked watering, cleaning. Loved helping customers.
Yeah. Are you a people person when it comes to that?
When it comes to that, yeah, I have pretty good customer service skills, and I can usually kind of figure out what somebody wants, even if it maybe isn't exactly what they're saying. So I did pretty good at that. Probably better with that than in my private life. I'm less of a people person. I mean, I want to be a people person, and I enjoy hanging out with people, but I have a limited time. It's like everybody else has a full cup that they can fill up for socialization. Mine gets about halfway and I'm tired.
Introverted extrovert.
Could be.
Because that's what Rachel O'Leary described as well. She can go out there, she can do all this stuff, but then she needs to just get away. Even if it's just going over to the corner away from everybody and just having a little bit of me time for 15 minutes to recharge your batteries, So,
Absolutely.
You described it very well about having that cup, of how much you can spend.
Yeah.
We have the other part in common, though, the customer service. I was an IT guy forever, but the customer service part of it, dealing with my users, was my favorite part of the job. I love that. All day long, I'm going to all these different people's desks and stuff and talking to them. And, as I'm working, we're talking about other stuff. And I miss
problem solving, right?
Yeah.
That's the fun part.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. I miss that. I do. But we started talking about your hobbies with the artwork and stuff. Do you have other hobbies that you like to do today? Do you still like to garden? Do you guys have a garden there?
I did like to garden. I used to garden a ton, but I got out of it the last 5 years because we had a really bad drought, like for 4 years in a row.
Yeah.
Technically, maybe 5, and the prices for water just went up, and it's like, number one, it's expensive to water everything, and we don't get any rain normally from May, usually May, maybe mid-May, through the end of October, if it's a good year. If we're in a drought, we don't get any. The rain stops in like February, March, and doesn't start until November, December. So you have to water everything by hand or by sprinkler. You're not going to get any help from the sky. And I just got kind of burned out on having one time I had a patio, like 100 or more containers, all different kinds of stuff. And it looked really pretty. It was great.
Yeah.
Rid of water. And then the one morning you forgot to water was the morning it was 110. And everything
Oh,
died anyway. That's exaggeration. We've only had a few days, 110. But 98 is not unusual.
I didn't realize that San Jose was that deserty. For some reason, I pictured it as being a little bit not exactly, wet, but just more like Northern California. But it is desert there. It's considered desert.
No, it's actually technically, I think it's called Chaparral, which is like dry grasslands with scattered trees and shrubs.
Gotcha.
Well, that left actually, but that's what it was originally. You get a lot of rain during the colder months, and then it's dry during the rest of the year.
Gotcha.
The native plants have adapted. They all tend to bloom and get everything done by the end of May. And like we even have there's a tree called a buckeye that is summer deciduous. It has leaves in the winter and it drops in the summer because
nice.
The water conservation.
Buckeye, it's called. I need to hold on. I need to make a note because I want to look that up.
Buckeye. I think there's an eastern buckeye too. This is
okay. I will. I'll make sure. Let me just make a quick note. Sorry, because I want to know about that. That's interesting. Okay, I guess I make a little note here sometimes to go back and read stuff. That's pretty interesting that it drops in the summertime like that.
Mm-hmm. Some areas in the Bay Area in the summertime get overhead fog every morning. Most mornings it comes from the west over the hills from the ocean, and it's high fog. It looks like clouds, but it kind of is dampish. And there's a lot of native trees that are good at condensing moisture in the air on their leaves, and then it drips.
Yeah.
Some of the trees get moisture, but that's end of May through June. Usually by mid-July that ends. So from mid-July to October is pretty hot and dry.
That's pretty cool too. And I know there's like little ferns that do that as well that are able to do that. That's so cool to me how just to be able to absorb it like that and to show the evolution of it like that. Okay, hobbies though. Do you have other hobbies besides fish keeping and art today? Is there stuff that you enjoy doing?
Not really. I have had through my life, I've done sewing, needlepoint. When I was younger, I used to skate.
Like roller skates, like regular.
Yeah, inline skating.
Yeah, Susie Q. Susie Q is. Are you familiar with Susie Q?
Oh yeah.
She has a channel even just for her skating. She's been, and she's retired and she went back to it just recently. So she's showing us, her progress over the last 2 years or however long it's been. She's fallen a lot, but she hasn't gotten seriously hurt and she absolutely loves it. So. Yeah,
I haven't done it in years. Might be fun to try it again.
I would be terrified at this point to do it because I know I'd break a hip or something. I know it would be something bad.
Well, I know someone who fell off of a bike at about my age and messed themselves up pretty bad, and we're really never quite the same. So I like riding bikes, but I do it on paths nowhere near traffic. I hate driving. I hate riding a bike in traffic. I just can't do it.
Yeah.
Plus, there's a street near us, the main street, and a lot of people going on bikes. But there's a quarry not that far from us, and all day long, giant semi trucks filled with stuff go back and forth and back and forth and back. And people ride their bike right next to them, and I can't handle it. It's just, scares the hell.
Yeah, I get that. Especially now. I mean, when you're younger and you've got a little more control over things, it's not so bad. But now I could just see easily, just.
Yeah, the reaction times are not what they used to be.
No, it happens. So really nothing else that you like to do in your spare time. I know you watch a lot of YouTube.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I watch a lot of YouTube. Oh, I love anime. I watch a lot of anime.
Okay.
And I used to read mangas, but I don't do that too much anymore. What else?
That'll be interesting. I know that they'll be asking that. They'll be asking you a lot of questions about that because I know we have a lot of anime fans in our community too.
So I enjoy that. And I got into it kind of late. I think I was in my late 40s, early 50s before I really did it much. I mean, I watched when I was a kid, Kimba of the Jungle and Speed Racer and, that kind of,
Yeah.
but not as an adult. And I remember being really pleasantly surprised that these are not all for kids. These are like any other movie with a good plot. I mean, not the majority of them, but they are out there.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I just really liked it. Plus, I was also when I started, I was trying to learn Japanese, and so I would listen to it to try and for this learn how to speak. And all that.
Yeah.
I didn't get very far on it. I can understand a little bit. I have enough basics that I could probably be okay as a tourist. Like ask where the bathroom is or where the restaurant is in the train.
Baka.
I can't really take.
That's the only one I know. Baka. Isn't that stupid or something, or idiot or something like that?
An idiot, yeah.
My wife, you guys have that in common because she came to it later as well, and she absolutely loves anime. She watches a lot of it, and same thing. She picked up some of the words and stuff. So not fluent by any means, but you have that in common. It's exactly how she fell into it as well.
Well, I actually went and took some classes at the college. I took at least 2 semesters, and I would like to go back because I really enjoyed learning how to write it. And I got all the way through the phonetic alphabet, the hiragana and katakana, which is they have 3 alphabets. They're not alphabets, but 3 writing systems that they use all together in the same sentence. There's the kanji, which is the ones that look like Chinese writing, and it is from Chinese. They borrowed it from Chinese, but the meaning is different from that Chinese one. So it's like it'll look like the same thing pretty much, but in China it means one thing. And
Gotcha.
yes. Okay. And then they had a lot of, I guess they had Japanese sounds or words or stuff that couldn't really be translated. So like a lot of Japanese origin things are okay, I'm getting that mixed up. No, scratch that. Hiragana is a connecting thing. It's for grammar. It's like and, this, to, but, also.
Gotcha. Okay.
Those kind of things. And then katakana, which is the one that you've seen that's very angular. That's for mostly foreign words and onomatopoeias like meow, like that. Yeah. And you have to learn. There's about the same amount of each of those as there is an alphabet. So it's like learning 2 alphabets, and then the kanji, which are the main words. You have to learn, just memorize. There's no tricks to it. You just have to memorize to be proficient. I think they say the average high school senior learns to write 1,000 of them. But if you're going to be in literature, so some people, there's like 1,200 or more.
Oh, gotcha.
It's actually, apparently it's becoming a bit of an issue that a lot of younger people are forgetting how to write it because it's all typing now, because they have their own keyboard.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody learns how to write cursive now here. It's sort of, it's kind of a little similar, I think.
Yeah. Although I don't know, cursive feels like it's just something outdated that's going to drop away, that I don't think it, sure it's pretty, but I don't think that it serves much function in today's,
faster though. Unless you're really good at printing originally,
sure.
Parents and our grandparents, it was a faster way for them to write.
Yeah.
Up until shorthand, and then it was even faster.
But most people don't have to, you don't have to anymore, right?
No. Right. Yeah.
Okay. You know what? It's already been an hour.
Whoa,
goes by quick, doesn't it?
Wow. That was fast.
Why don't we go ahead and open it up now to the chat? Let me get some stuff sorted out here. But before we do that, now I noticed I was looking at your channel when I was getting your link for the show and stuff, because I wanted to make sure people could subscribe to you. I noticed a lot of your videos are actually been out for quite some time and you don't have a lot of newer content.
No, I did a whole bunch when I first started on YouTube, and I just kind of, I don't remember what happened, but I guess I just kind of got out of it at one point. Yeah. And so I had not put out anything for 4 years, I guess. But I actually did just put out 2 shorts. First thing I've done in 4 years.
And are you thinking about doing more of it? Or are you thinking about, because what I saw was pretty cool. I mean, do you feel like?
Oh, I remember why I ended up not doing it after a while. My first iPhone had that movie something or other was their editing program. It was amazing. Yeah. It's great. Then one night I went to bed and they updated it. And I got up the next morning and I tried to edit some stuff and they'd nerfed it. So all the cool stuff, all the best stuff, now you had to pay for it.
Oh, God.
You could download their editing app. And the free one had all the good stuff stripped away. You could like put titles, put text, and cut it. And that's about it. I mean, I think you could also add music, but the other one had way more stuff. I did buy another editing program I used for a while, but I can't really remember why exactly I stopped totally. Whatever. But yeah, I think I might get back into it again.
Well, and if the mods could, it's in the description. Her link is in the description. Barbara Gordon. Barbara Jackson's link is in the description, but if the mods, if they probably have been already, but if you could drop her link. So before we open it up to everybody though, Barbara, is there anything that we didn't really talk about that, you know, that's a big part of your life that you'd like to share, something that's important to you? And, you know, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. If there's anything that we didn't really touch on that you think is important to share with people.
Yeah, you were pretty thorough. I can't think of anything in particular, but something might come to me later.
Okay. Well, if it does, don't hesitate to, if it's something you'd like to share. So, all right. So I'm going to start. I'm going to scroll down here because I was way up. Let's see. So the very first one, and again, please, people, if you would, do the @Rico stand for me so it pops out. The very first question I see, and hi Zen Ginger, she dropped it. Nano Aquarium Guy. So if you've asked a question before Nano Aquarium Guy, please repost it for me. And his question is, Barbara, and I told you they were going to ask, obvious question, which is her favorite anime?
Well, it has changed. It used to be Gintama, and now it's One Piece. I still really love Gintama, but I've watched it.
Was that you, Jay, that was One Piece? Who was it that was talking? Yeah, it was Jay, right? It was a Nano Aquarium Guy was talking about One Piece with his favorite.
Incredibly long animes. I think Gintama has like 900 or plus episodes, and One Piece is up to 1,100 something.
It was Jay. Jay loves that one too.
Yeah, I get frustrated with animes that only go one season.
Yeah, any shows.
I want to keep watching them.
Yeah, any shows. When we're looking for a new show to watch, which there isn't any. We've watched too much. There's just, but anyways, we always look for more than one season of something that is either continuing to still run or at least has 4 or 5 seasons to it. So. Yeah. Okay, the next one is from Whip's World, and I've mentioned this so many times in these live streams, but we have a lot of questions that have been asked every single live stream, every single focus on since we started. Myrtle's got one. Bex has got. Bex, do you have one? Brookley Bell has one. Whip's World. Just a whole bunch of different people have these questions that they ask every single stream, and I absolutely love that. I love it. And his question is: so you have generational wealth. That means you don't ever have to worry about money ever again. You can do anything you want. What are you doing, and where are you doing it at?
What am I going to do? Gosh. Where would I do it? I guess I'd probably go live in Italy, like I was talking about. Um, I'd probably travel a lot more. I would fly first class because I absolutely hate being squished in an airplane seat. I'll do it because I'm not going to spend over $1,000 or more. But if I had generational wealth, that would be awesome. Um, what else? I don't know. I'd probably get another place somewhere up in the mountains. Uh, what would I do? Probably get bigger fish tanks.
Yeah.
I'd get really big acrylic fish tanks.
See, I think the fact that that you had a hard time thinking about what you would do means that you're sort of satisfied with what you currently have and where you're at right now. You
Mostly.
think that? Yeah, I think that's.
So. Well, if I had generational wealth, I would fix all the things that are chronically wrong with our place. There you go.
Yes, I'm with you there. Yeah.
Some of them are very, very spendy items.
Yes, we have some. I'm with you. We have a lot of that. Okay, next up, Stephen P. Barbara says, or Barbara, what aspects of the fish keeping hobby do you think help your ADHD, and what aspects do you think exacerbates it?
Well, I think watching the fish really helps calm down anxiety. Getting new fish, setting up a new tank are all great dopamine producers. I like doing some aquascaping. I'd like to probably get into that more because I love plants, but I haven't really invested a lot in aquatic plants much. I've got plants on almost every tank, but they're all the easy ones, Well, not Java fern because it's not easy for me, but like sword plants, and I love cryptocorns. That's one of my favorite. But so all those parts I really like. The planning a new tank is fun. The things I don't do well at is finishing, setting up tanks. Like there's always almost one thing that I didn't, like I was going to put a plant in this area, I never did. Cleaning up after myself. I always have 2 or 3 buckets of algae and water that I haven't thrown out yet because I feel too bad for the snails, and I always assume I'm going to go and pick out the snails and save them, then throw the algae away. But I don't do that. It just sits there for several days till the snails die anyway, and then
I understand that.
So that's one thing I don't. I wish I was a little more organized with the things I have because I have done that thing where I didn't think I had something. I went and bought another one and then found it. So if I was a little more organized that way. Stevens mentioned before that the out of sight, out of mind, and I'm like that too. I'm thinking I want to get like a bunch of clear bins. I have like cabinets under my fish tanks, and something goes in there and the door's shut and it's gone. It might as well be on another continent.
I saw these really cool ones that they're probably about maybe, I don't know, about 3 foot, maybe at the most 2.5 feet, maybe about 1.5 feet tall. You can open them on the top. They're clear sided, but they also can open them on the front, so you can stack these things together. They have nice wheels, so you can open them on the front or the top. They can stack them and turn them into a. I don't remember where I saw them. It's probably one of those Wish or Temu or one of those types of apps. But
the shallowness that intrigues me because so many things, when you use boxes, they also fall to the bottom.
Yeah,
so it's nice to be able to see everything
and to be able to open from the front and the top, so you can, once it's stacked up, you can, you've got a whole system. I was thinking about getting some of those, see how well they work. Disco Stew's next. Barbara Jackson, what was your first fish tank?
The first fish tank that I ever set up myself would have been when I was about 38 or so. 37. My kids got the goldfish from the fair, and we set up a 29-gallon in the kitchen and 2 goldfish. And I mean, I didn't realize at the time how messy goldfish were, because my father had fish when I was a kid. He had 2 pretty large tanks, and they were they were tropical fish, neon tetras, swordtails, the stuff you could get then. And they're not, I didn't realize, but they're not that much of a bioload, right? Compared to a goldfish.
Sure.
So I'm like, oh, I know about fish tanks. My dad had them. It's no big deal. They're pretty easy. And this damn thing, I was cleaning it so much, and it was so algae. And it was like, we got a big tub and put it out in the backyard, put the goldfish out there, and then sold the tank. So I didn't have a tank from then till about 2016, I guess. My sister passed away early in 2016, kind of a medium long illness. She had a brain tumor that, I mean, she had they had the operation, and she had a few months. We were thinking it was going to be maybe a few years, but then it went fast. And she and I were very close. I mean, she was kind of like a second mom to me, because she was 10. And so, she was like always helping, and she did a lot of babysitting. And then we got to be good friends as adults and hung out a lot. And so it was pretty bad after she passed. Also, the tumor caused her to behave in ways that weren't like her.
Yes.
And I really don't know exactly why, but for some reason, the people on her married side of the family decided that we did something. I don't know what it was, but anyway, they don't talk to us anymore. Well, I kind of, no, I know what it is. I'm not going to go into it, but in my opinion, it's very childish what happened. But I felt, I understood, psychologically and mentally, that it's not something she can help. She's not herself.
Yeah.
But emotionally, it was devastating.
Yeah.
And there was one point, because there was a point where she kind of, I don't want to. She did things that were just not in her own personality.
Yeah.
And I remember one point after she came out of the operation, but I don't know what changed after that. But for like about a 10-minute spot, it was like she got lucid and was like apologized all over the place, like,
wow.
I'm so sorry. I didn't mean any of that. I didn't mean any of that. I love them. I love you. I don't pay attention to any of that. And then the next day she was back to being pretty awful.
Yeah.
She was very angry, very, everybody was the enemy. Yeah, it was difficult.
It's like, Alzheimer's, dementia patients that,
yeah,
that go through the same thing. It's heartbreaking.
Yeah, but I hold on to that conversation that she didn't mean it. She was in there, and this wasn't her. So I got into the fish keeping because I needed to have something to get myself off of my mind. What I first started doing was I went back to art, and I started doing art. And then my older daughter had bought a little baby female betta, and she just had that in her bedroom for a while. And then she transferred to a different college, and she couldn't take it. And I said, well, I'll take care of it for you. So I thought, well, that'll be fun. I'll just set that up near my easel, and I can watch it while I paint, And that was the beginning.
Gotcha.
That poor little thing didn't really do well. I didn't know much about betta. It was one of those baby ones that they really shouldn't be selling. You know, they're not full size. They're like basically fry. I don't know if they still do that, but there was a thing there for a while where the major pet stores were selling very young, like young juvenile bettas. Like raise your own betta in babyhood. But they have different requirements as far as food. I think the reason she didn't do well was because we didn't realize we weren't feeding her enough because she was, you know, a baby. When they're adults, they don't need as much food. But just like kids, they need more food as they're growing up. And I have
no idea about. I've never. Well, I had a betta when I was a kid, but kept him with a bunch of other stuff, and he was fine. But I've never. So I don't know anything about them. I didn't know that there was anything special about the younger ones or anything.
Well, I think any fish that's. I mean, any fish needs more food when it's growing than when it's
Sure, that's true. Yes.
Right.
Yeah, like I've got fry. I feed three times a day. When there's no fry, I feed one time. You know.
Yeah, I don't know why they decided this was a thing they wanted to do, but for a while, I don't know if they still do it. Yeah, you could buy half-grown bettas. They were not tiny fry, but they weren't full-grown. They were definitely juveniles, and they're just more delicate in general. So that was the beginning, and then I just kind of multi-tank syndrome kept going after that.
How many tanks do you have today up and running?
Around 20-ish.
Around 20-ish? Yeah.
Most of them are 10-gallon because I have a lot of guppies. Yeah.
I'm getting rid of the guppies. Getting out of the guppies. I'll keep some.
There. Yeah, I have several strains, and I think I'm going to bring it down to just one. And because I want to go towards bigger tanks and fewer tanks but larger.
Yeah.
And I really prefer. I think I'm going to go back to just almost all tropical fish. I think they're just less work. Egg layers, a lot less work.
See, I have Gudeids, and they're live bears, and they get somewhere 4 to 7, fry at a time, and it's every 90 days as opposed to 100 every month. So it's a lot more manageable, and I'm really enjoying them. They're beautiful fish, but I mean, it seems easy for me. They've been doing great since I got them. So, okay. Let's move on. Bex is up next. Oh, first of all, I got to scroll down real quick because I wanted to hit something here. Where is it at? Okay, that's weird. It just said that somebody became a member, but I'm not seeing it. There it is. Nope, that's Killer Kitty with their $3 super chat, like she does. Thank you, Killer Kitty. That's weird. I got a message that there was a new member, but it's not up here. Oh, right. That's all right. That's weird. Maybe it was leftovers because OBS has been doing some weird stuff lately with my alerts and stuff. So Bex, hi Bex. Barbara has one day to spend with any anime character she wants to do whatever she wants. Who is it, and what's the plans for the day? That's a good one.
I think it would be fun to be with Gintama. And he's a bit of a nerd. He's kind of a bum in some ways. And I think it would be fun to hang out with him a day when he goes to the pachinko bars and loses all his money. And it's a comedy. So that would be fun.
Gotcha. So when he's really just sort of partying and doing dumb things, that's when you'd like to be there.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Gotcha. That's good. That's good. Brooklyn Bell, hi. Brooklyn wants to know if you have any strange talents physically. Can you wiggle your ears? Can you
I used to be able to wiggle my ears. Let's see. Can you see it?
A little bit. Hold on. I'm going to put you on the big screen.
I can't
do it again. Not to put you on the spot. I can't see it. Yep.
It used to be better when I was younger. And when I was younger, I used to be able to turn my eyelids inside out.
Yeah, don't do that. I always found that just so disgusting. I used to hate that. I had a friend who would chase me around with those, and I just hated it. I just absolutely, it's disgusting. It's gross.
Yeah.
It's almost as bad as
This feels okay.
these.
It doesn't hurt.
It's almost as bad as these.
What was the story with that? I think I missed that.
I've said on quite a few streams that popsicle sticks and tongue depressors really get to me. Like, especially tongue depressors. Like when I go to the doctor and he tries to use one, I'm like, that's not happening. Because there's just something about it that makes me, a lot of times I can't even talk, like my tongue swells. It feels like it's swollen. It's not really, but it feels like that. And I just start going, no tongue depressor. I just get really bad. So Skipper and Ed, I made the mistake of saying that I had a weakness to those. So they've really been thrown, and I got a letter in the mail from Skipper just yesterday, I think it was, that had this in it. And I knew as soon as I felt the envelope, I knew what it was. I was like, you son of a bitch. It did turn out.
He's a great guy. I met Skipper at Findig last year. It was
no, not Findig. Oktoberfest, not Fish.
Yeah, Oktoberfest, not Findig.
Yeah.
I missed Findig, and that was my own fault because I waited too long to get a hotel room, and I didn't think they'd be all sold out that fast, but they were.
Yeah.
So I'll try again next year.
Fishtoberfest, though, is one I would definitely like to go to. That's Keystone Clash, my favorite, and then Fishtoberfest would be the next one.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun. Oh, somebody's sad.
Our Chihuahua has, they say it's nerves, but I disagree, but whatever. And she does these things once in a while. That's what you were just hearing, where she just, to me, she sounds like she's just in utter pain. It doesn't happen very often, but I don't know. What's that?
They're saying it's nerves?
My daughter and wife said that it's anxiety that does it. I mean, Chihuahuas are known for that, and they did take her to the vet. I mean, all of our dogs go to the vet regularly, but yeah, they didn't, and they saw her actually do it when they were there, and they said, no, it doesn't seem like it's anything. But she's from a family we're pretty sure she's pretty inbred. Like her legs are pretty much backwards, her front legs. She stands like a penguin, and she's got some other weird little things. So, we're thinking
pain or arthritis or something.
Something. I mean, she's only 4 years old. So, anyways, sorry. Let's keep going. Amisa, hello. Favorite road trip soundtrack? We didn't even touch on music. We didn't touch on music at all.
Well, I like music. Okay, I'm not probably as into it as a lot of other people, but my soundtrack would be.
Would it be music or would it be something else? It doesn't have to be music. It could just be.
It would probably be half music, and then maybe half probably live streams if I wasn't driving. If I was driving, I'd listen to music. I think I've also done a few books on tape. There was a point when I was commuting in bad traffic, and I did some of that.
Yeah, it helps, doesn't it? It helps with the traffic and everything. Because I get road rage. I hate to drive, and I would get it bad. And it's not bad where we live now, but we were commuting into the city, into Rochester, and it's an hour and 15 minutes. And the first, getting in and out of the city is it just was horrible. So the book on tape or the audio books really helped.
Truthfully, I'm bad at trying to remember all the things that I like. So I would probably do something like pick a compilation, like, Now 24 or something, or those old DVDs or videos of, you remember those? It'd say Music Now or something like that. And it was all the hits from that year, kind of.
Yeah, I do remember those.
It's music or something like that. Anyway, I'd probably listen to one of those because it's easier.
So you don't really have like a favorite band or anything like that, or even a favorite type of music?
Young, I was a big Led Zeppelin fan.
Me too.
I loved Leonard Skinner, Elton John. You know, that
Yes.
was when I was buying music.
Yeah.
After college, I really didn't really buy music anymore. I just got busy. I just listened to what was ever on the radio.
Gotcha. I'm with you. I love classic rock, but there is a lot of good music today. You know, it's just usually not on the radio, but there's a lot of good music. I really like indie folk music and alternative folk, and there's a lot of bands out there. So it's just, you know, guys and girls with their instruments singing. It's not overproduced. It doesn't, you know, it's so much more pure. Anyways,
Are you into the sea shanties that were a thing for a while?
no, not so much, but sometimes it was interesting because, you know, if you heard the right combination of voices and stuff. But yeah, that was actually a joke that is funny because I used to tell that. I heard it a long, long time ago, and I said that whaling songs were going to be the next big thing. And I heard it from somewhere else. It was like Dr. Demento or something. Somebody talking about whaling songs was what's coming up next. That's really what's going to be big. So anytime anybody asked me what kind of music I was into, I always answered whaling songs. You watch, they're going to be huge. And then the sea shanties got big, which are pretty much the same thing.
Pretty similar, yeah.
Yeah. Jay, Nano Aquarium Guy, wants to know what your favorite genre of TV, books, and movies are. Like, do you get into sci-fi? Do you get into any of that kind of stuff? Or do you prefer to read for more educational purposes?
You know, I used to be a lot into sci-fi. I read a lot my younger days. I loved the Foundation series.
Oh, yeah. Isaac Asimov.
Yeah. There was another book that I loved that hardly anybody, well, two. One was called Lord of Light, and it was it's a weird science fiction thing where these people landed on a planet, and they, long story short, they end up becoming quote unquote gods to the actual people there, mostly because of technology. Anyway, it goes on and on. It's very interesting. So I like sci-fi. Let's see, what else is that? TV. I enjoy comedies. Comedies are fun. I like those kind of part comedy, part action things. Like I liked The Boys.
Okay.
Even though it was pretty much a red jello fest.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like them when they're not done terribly serious, because that's not really serious, right? It's kind of cartoony. I don't enjoy real, like I never saw Saw or any of those kind of things. Those I don't like. I like spooky, scary movies like ghosts and things like that, but slice them up murder, unless it's cartoonish like The Boys. Yeah, I don't like the ones that are too real.
Gotcha.
I watch stuff to be taken out of reality.
Yeah. We could totally hang out because that's a lot of my favorite stuff too. That's I like that, and I feel the same way about just you know. I don't want to. I'll start getting preachy. Let's go on. Let's move along. Carlos Diaz, what's up, Carlos? He wants to know what is the one lesson in fish keeping that you wish you didn't have to learn. Something that happened that you didn't that you learned the hard way.
That was probably caused by me.
Well, just something you wish you hadn't learned because it. Excuse me.
Oh, okay. The lesson I wish I didn't have to learn was appropriate stocking levels, because I tended to overstock, as most people do when they first. And I had a few catastrophes, lost some, tank crashes and things.
Yeah.
Like that. And I think if I was to do it over again, number one, I don't think I'd get into guppies, except for maybe one tank. Because that's how I got overwhelmed. I don't have any fish that eat other fish, and I do sell them to the local fish store once in a while, but I'm kind of chicken about it, and I do it as much as I should. If I brought them in as much as I should, probably wouldn't have a problem with that. So one lesson. Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, that's good. Yeah,
Overstock.
the overstocking one.
The algae's
Uh,
good too if you don't overstock and don't feed as much.
Bex wants to know who would you consider your biggest role model and why? And not just in fish keeping or anything, but just in your life. Who have you looked up to as a role model?
The one that comes to mind, and is probably the biggest one, and the thing is, he's a role model, but I never could live up to it, is Mr. Rogers.
Oh,
Sounds
very
weird,
nice.
but I mean, I was too old, really. I think I was like, I don't know, 11 or something when he started. But a lot of the kids I babysat would watch him. So I would, I knew who he was. But it wasn't until my kids were little and I was staying at home with them and, feeling down because sometimes when you have small children, they're a lot of fun and they're wonderful in a lot of ways, but they're also pretty draining in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And I
They're
would
also just horrible people. They're horrible people in a lot of ways. They are. Little kids are just horrible people because they don't know yet. They're just horrible people.
No, they're not horrible people. They're a little sticky, though.
Okay.
Chronically sticky.
Yeah.
But when I watched it again when my kids were little, it struck a whole different nerve, and it was very comforting. And I do believe that he was a genuine person who genuinely cared about people. And I feel like if we all lived our lives like Fred Rogers, we wouldn't have any problems.
Yeah, I'm with you. 100%. I agree with that. That's a great answer, and we all could have a little more Mr. Rogers.
Plus, I do like jazz music.
What's that?
I do love jazz music.
Oh, gotcha.
Because he was into jazz.
Yeah.
He would play jazz for the kids. That was cool.
He he had his religion. Never mind. There's so many times I want to just say things, and I just don't want to go down that route. I try and keep my channel away from all that stuff. So next up,
he was a very religious person, but he was also he wasn't preachy about
it. I think he did it right because he wasn't one of those people that that wanted to push people. He wanted people to be who they were, regardless of who that was. If as long as you were a good person, he wanted you to be who you were. Right. He didn't want to restrict you and to put you in a box and make you be, conform to all of everybody else's expectations.
Right.
Tomatillo, Silver Creek. He wants to know what's your aquarium spirit animal out of all the life forms within your tanks. What would be what would you like to be? It doesn't even have to be a fish, anything, any type of life form in your tank.
That I would like to be?
Yeah, that you would like to be.
Probably a Cory.
Yeah?
I think a Cory would be cool. They get along with everybody. They're not super shy, but they're not pushy. I don't know, they're just cute. Plus they blink and they take naps a lot.
They look like little dogs.
They don't blink, but I'm going to pretend they do.
They seem like dogs to me. They're like the little dogs of,
Yeah, I never really had any of the personable cichlids that people say they're like puppies. So this would be the closest.
Gotcha. And I just happened to see this one, but Steven says, Barbara, I'm the same way with the buckets. Nothing to do with snails, though. He just does. Alec. Hi, Alec. Alec would like to know, did you ever get Odessa barbs? And there's a second part. Well, we'll leave it at that. Did you get Odessa barbs?
What about those? I have not. That's still on my bucket list. I need a bigger.
Also, did you mention your grandfather owned the building on Clement that now houses 6th Avenue Aquarium?
Oh, that's right. Yes, he did. It was Sheehan Dry Goods, and there's two big S's on the outside of the building facade, and that was for Sheehan. It was a store that carried a dry goods store carried all clothing except tailored items and men's suits and shoes. Did you get underwear for the whole family, light shirts, T-shirts, summer dresses, things like that. He was the last person in San Francisco to sell the old-fashioned BVDs that the back opened. and there were old guys, who came from like all over, like miles away, because he said, "You're the only person who still sells these." It's like, they've been wearing them probably since they were 20.
Yeah. Now, how did Alec know that?
I don't know. I think I've told people before that.
Okay.
That fish store used to be my grandfather's store. That he and his mother actually built the building. He started the business with his mother, and then kept on after she passed. That's a cool store, though. I like that store. It has there's a mezzanine up at the top. You can look down on the rest of the store. It's like a walkway all the way around. They have fish up there. You can go up there and look. But back when he had it, they used to keep the extra stock up there. And I didn't get to do this because I was too young. But my brother and sister have a lot of really good memories of running around up there and playing, because they babysat him a lot. Just
nice.
At the door.
Beeping. Every once in a while, I think I hear some beeping, and I didn't know, but it's like I thought I was going crazy. Nathan said, "I don't."
There's nothing beeping here.
Every once in a while, like if I turn the right way, like right now, I hear it. Oh, stop! It could be here. It could be on my side. It could be something in my room. It could be.
You have a little Casio watch going off there somewhere.
See, I hear it right now.
I found my old Casio watch from the 80s, cleaning out some stuff, and it still worked.
Yeah.
There's a tiny little chip on the quartz, the screen, but it still keeps time, and it does. It goes really quietly.
Okay, let's scroll on. We still got some time, so I'm looking for, again, if you have any questions, do the @RicoStan. I'm skipping down. I'm not seeing anything. I got all the way down to Dapper Dennis. So if you asked a question between the last one and down to this one I'm about to ask, please post it again because I didn't see it. And do the @RicoStan for me so it really, pops out. Is there a person from history? This is Dennis's question. He asks all the time. It's a two-parter. So is there a person from history that you would like to meet? We'll do that one first. Is there anybody from history, a historical person that you would like to meet and hang out with for a little bit?
God, there's a lot. It's hard to narrow it down. Voltaire.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I think it would be fun as long as I could speak the same language.
Sure. Yeah.
Through the magic of magic. I think it would be fascinating to talk with that person for long lengths of time. I don't know if I'd actually necessarily want to be in their life because there's other good stuff.
I'm drawing a blank on the time frame. I feel like we're talking about 1700s was what I was guessing. That's what I was going to say. But I don't know when Voltaire was.
He was a writer. He wrote Candide and
1694. Yep, was when he was born.
Okay.
And he died in 1778. So yeah, that's 1700s. Yep.
He was a very interesting person, and a lot of his writings are what our forefounders based our government on.
Sure. Yeah.
The humanism, what they called it, something like that.
He definitely had a lot of forward-thinking thoughts for the time period.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially we'll start getting into stuff.
The only other time I think I'd like to live in history, and not necessarily to talk to anybody, but if I had to live in a different part, I think I'd want, and I still had to be a woman, I'd be in an Etruscan.
In what?
An Etruscan from Tuscany in Italy. Oh. The Etruscans were not the same as the Romans, but they lived next to each other for centuries. And Etruscan women could own property and could read and write and run businesses, and they had a lot more rights than almost all women at that time. And the
Gotcha.
Romans thought that they were terribly immoral to let their women do that.
Yeah.
So that would be a cool place to live.
That's a good one. That's a good one. I like both of those. And there's Killer Kitty with the $3 super chat. Thanks, Killer Kitty. Oh, it jumped big time. Okay. So the next one up I see is from Nano Aquarium Guy. Your favorite YouTuber outside of fishfam?
Outside of fishfam. Well, Bob Steamfox, he's my bud. He's really great, but
Yeah, but he's fishfam.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They don't
he's
hang
fishfam.
out as much as some folks do.
Yeah, but he definitely
He
is.
a lot of streams, but he rarely talks. So he usually knows what's going on, but he just doesn't say much.
Yeah.
Who else?
So I would think of it as not fish related because
Okay. Someone not
fishfam is such a loose term, you know.
Okay, I know. What I've been watching lately is Pakistani tribal people trying Western food.
Yeah. Is that good?
Like 2 or 3 channels, that do the same sort of thing. I just find it entertaining.
Yeah. I haven't watched that. I have watched other people, Irish people trying different things and American people trying those kind of foods and back and forth. I haven't watched that one. Do they generally like or dislike our food?
It kind of goes all over.
Yeah.
The reason I think I like those better than the other ones is because their society is so much different than ours.
Sure.
Way more traditional. There's a whole lot between a guy who lived in London and a guy who lived in San Francisco, and they try each other's food. They're both Western culture, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But this is their whole philosophy and the way they live, and everything's so different. They're more intrigued and surprised than most.
Was there anything you can remember that they absolutely just hated? Like universally,
very few of them are fans of cheese. Cheese is not a thing. They do yogurt and whey and milk and butter, but they don't make cheese. And quite a few of them don't get cheese. They're not a fan. Yeah. But the ones who do are like nuts about it. They either really love cheese or they can't stand it. And they've said, God, Americans put cheese in everything, don't they?
Yeah. I mean, everything's better with cheese. And I guess I'm going to have to go talk to some Pakistani people and see what the hell's going on now. Because, that's my thing. That's my cheese is where I live.
Mm-hmm.
This is a great question Killer Kitty has for you. And hi, Killer Kitty. What flowers would make up your dream garden? In what style?
Oh, wow.
A lot of thought.
Something I would love, but I have never been able to successfully pull off here because of the weather and the lack of water. I love English cottage gardens. I love things like tulips and lilies, all the things I can't grow here because we don't have any winter chills. So those you can buy them pre-chilled, grow them for that season, but they're like annuals. They won't.
Yeah.
But we do have a lot of bulbs that do come back that die where you guys are, like ranunculus and daffodils. Well, daffodils don't usually die. But anyway, the more tender bulbs, we can usually grow them all year round. But I love lilies. I love the big tall lilies with pathway and little brooks and ponds and stuff. I think that would be really cool.
Nice.
Seasonal,
I like it. Again, it sounds like my grandfather's backyard because that's the kind of stuff he always had going on.
Yeah.
He lived by Chicago, so they did have pretty good, pretty cold weather for a lot of the year. So
yeah, I visited some relatives up in Oregon years and years ago in Willamette Valley, and it was like I had never seen flowers so huge and lush, and it's like lilies were 6 feet tall, and we struggled to get them 2 feet. So that was pretty cool. So that's probably what I want to do.
Nice. Jenna. Hi, Jenna. This is a good one, too. I like this one. Jenna's been asking us recently a lot. if Barbara could body swap any two members of fishfam, who would it be and why? So you could be one of the people, but it doesn't have to be you. It could be, any two other people have to live as the other person for just, a weekend or something.
Oh, okay.
Who would it be? Who would it be and why? Excuse me. It's a good question. I like it.
It is. It's a tough question.
It's a fun question though too, because there's no wrong answer.
Yeah. Man, I'm drawing a blank here. Who would I want to be? Also, now that you folks have asked me to name names, I can't think of any names.
Yes.
So the names went blank. Well, Corey would be kind of cool because of all the tanks and just see how things run and what his day would be like. But maybe one day. I wouldn't want to do it more than that.
So you would be the person. You would be the person switching with Corey then.
I guess so, just for a short period of time, and I'd probably mess it all up and screw his business over.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
But I just think that his fish house is really cool, and the new warehouse and just the whole business. I guess by that same account, Dan from Dan's Fish would be cool too, because of the real big new fish business and everything. That'd be interesting, and it'd be really fun to get those new fish every day and get to unpack them. Yeah, that'd be cool. I would like to work in a fish store if I was not done with retail.
I don't think I'd like to work in a fish store because again, being an IT guy for a long time, towards the end of my career, I just wanted nothing to really do with computers in my spare time. So it took away a hobby that I really enjoyed. And I almost feel like if you were at the wrong fish store, it would do the same type of thing. It'd ruin it for you.
I get it. Actually, the same kind of thing. Gardening. I used to be a way more avid gardener before I started working the garden center.
Yeah.
And then now I don't hardly garden at all.
Yeah. Take something away from it when it's not just a hobby.
Yeah.
Jeff Kane doesn't have a question, but he did say, so all future food samples should include a tongue depressor or popsicle sticks? Please don't, people. Please don't. I really, even just seeing them sometimes or thinking about them just makes me feel, so.
Chalks on a blackboard kind of thing?
Yeah, sort of that type of thing. There's just something about it that it's also, when I was young and I lived in Arizona, I wouldn't wear shoes all summer, right? So my feet would get just so hardened from the blacktop that's 150 degrees, and sometimes I would scuff my feet on like the sidewalk, and that sound reminds me of the tongue depressors too, and it's sort of tied in together. It's sort of a gritty, like sandpaper doesn't bother me. I can use sandpaper, but there's something. Let's just move on. It's going to start getting bad. Zenny, hi Zenny. Barb, if you could only watch anime or YouTube, but not both, which would you pick? That's a good one.
You mean on TV or on videotapes? Well, not videotapes.
You could watch anime any way you wanted, or YouTube any way you wanted, but not both.
Only one. God, that's a really hard one.
Yeah.
I'm leaning towards anime, but I feel bad about it. That's as far as I'll say.
Okay.
I don't want to anybody.
All right. Next is Kyle. If you could change one thing about the hobby, what would it be? I feel like that's sort of an easy question overall. I know myself, I have a very quick answer.
Well, I know I wish that the supply stream was a little easier on the fish, but that's not really one thing. Yeah, all right, that's my one thing. I wish that the supply chain from where we get them to when we get them was healthier and better for the fish.
Gotcha. Mine would be every fish sold would be sold to somebody that understood its requirements. So no more common plecos from PetSmart to a person that just bought a 10-gallon tank at the same moment, things like that. So every single fish sold, the person at least has been given the information they need to successfully keep that fish. That doesn't mean they're going to always follow it, but at least that would limit a lot of the problems I think that we have. So
another good one would be to actually put the real final size of these fish on the tag. That would be very helpful as well. Yep. Well, here's a little tip for people going to garden centers. Sorry to change it.
No.
When you see the size of something, like this is mostly for trees and shrubs, not flowers and things. Generally, that is the size they will be in 10 years. If they live longer, they're not going to tell you what the size is at 60 years because it'll be a lot bigger, mostly because it's a tree. So just FYI, most of the time that's in 10 years, it'll be that big.
Gotcha.
They figure people are going to change their landscape in 10 years or kill it. So
that's good information to have. I'm trying to decide what kind of tree right now to plant on the south west corner of our house. But there's a little access road right here that has to stay open for the people down there in the cottages. And then there's also electrical lines up here. So I've got just a small square, and but I want a deciduous that's going to shade that corner of the house.
And not be too tall or tall.
But can't be too big. Yeah. So I'm just starting to research, but I like that. I'm enjoying that, learning about different trees and about, what's going to be the perfect one. And I definitely would prefer to go with a native tree there, but okay. Anyways,
you might also, sorry to interrupt, but you might check your local power company. I know ours, PG&E, puts out a flyer. Well, it's actually a very nicely done pamphlet showing all the different kinds of trees that will work best under power lines. So, check their website or something.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I know also our local cooperative puts out a lot of information too. So I was just thinking that's another great place. But I will check.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it's not going to be underneath them. So it's going to be to the. Anyways, let's keep going. It's not about me. It's about you. So Jay wants to ask the myrtle question. So the myrtle question is one of the toughest ones for me to answer because it's for both of us. And the question is, and he's asked this from the very, very first Focus On we ever did. It's been asked in every single live stream since. So we're on 97, 98 of them, just the Focus On, and it's been asked every time. The question is, what would I change about you, and what would you change about me?
Well, what I change about you is easy, because I always thought of this the first time I heard the question. I would take away your issue.
The health issues?
I forgot the name of it. But yeah, I wish that would disappear and just go back to the way you were before.
Thank you. I mean, and everybody, most people do say that, and I appreciate it, and I would love that. So that's always a good one.
Chronic pain just sucks big time. I've had it on and off, and not good.
It's just I have to accept that that's who I am today, and there's no way to fight against it or do anything different. Oh, there is actually things, but anyways. What I would change about you is this almost identical is that your ADHD, your anxiety were not issues whatsoever, that you wouldn't have to take any medications, that they were just, gone. Not that you didn't experience it, because again, and Mitch, Scruffy City brought this up to me, because I always said but if you take away somebody's illness like that, you change who they are. But he was saying, well, you don't go back and change it. You're going forward. So they've already been through these issues. You've already had these issues, but going forward, it's no longer an issue. Into
a big remission that lasted forever.
Exactly. Yeah. It was a great way to put it, because I was always thinking the other way. Stephen said kids secrete syrup. This is a fact.
They do.
Okay. Nathan says one fish to save and one that shouldn't be in the hobby. So one fish that you would like to grow. I think, Nathan, didn't you ask it differently before? It was like if you could only raise one fish, what would that fish be?
That would probably be, at this point, probably rainbow fish. I enjoy them, I think, the most.
And any specific one?
Well, my favorites in the fish room are some Melanotania trifasciata Blythe River. They're really fun, and I raised those guys from eggs that I got.
Oh, nice!
I got them at a auction from Gary Lang, and he brings the eggs in the vial.
Yep.
And I raised 5 of them. I was going to have more, but I forgot to feed them one time, and yeah. But of the survivors, I had 5, and then I added some bought ones to them. So I have a small group of them, and I really love them. They're dumb, but they're personable.
Yeah,
and pretty big like that.
I think Vinay bought some of those same. He did buy some rainbows from Gary Lang, just like 3 years ago. I think 2 years ago. And I think they were those ones. They were whatever his latest was that he was bringing back from McGinney or wherever the trip he had just gone on. He brought some eggs back with him, and Vinay Color Guppies bought some from him at the Clash that year.
It's fun. I mean, they're fussy at first because they're so tiny, but as long as you have paramecium and stuff to feed them, it's not too difficult. You just have to really pay attention and not forget to feed them one time.
See, I got lucky because I have Bozemanite rainbows in my 55, and one of them survived being I'm not trying to breed them. I don't have, mops in there. I don't do anything. And one of them did survive being a fry and grew up and is in there now. And so I got only one, but still, it was pretty cool. I love that.
Plants in there, huh?
What's that?
You have a lot of plants in that one?
I do have a lot of plants, but there's all kinds of other fish in there too. I mean, there's most of them are a lot smaller. There's CPDs and Harlequin rasboras, and there's some bristlenose plecos and some cories. That's it. But it's probably one of my favorite fish because of that tenacity, that it was able to just survive, even though I didn't do anything to help it, and it was able to make it through on its own. The second part of Nathan's question was what fish should not be in the hobby at all?
I'm torn between 2, and one of them people would not like because it's a popular fish. The first one, I'm going to pick 2. I'm going to cheat. First one is the pleca, the common pleca. But the second one are clown, not clown pleca, clown mooches? Damn. The ones that Corey had in the big 800 tank for a while. And the only reason I say that one is because they get really big too, and most people buy them very small.
Yes.
And they end up, the yellow stripe.
Yes. Yeah. Clown loach. Yeah. They do get pretty big. They're beautiful fish, but
they get as big as koi. And people realize that, and you have to have a very, very expensive, large tank like Corey to be able to take care of them properly.
Yeah.
I don't think they should be sold, except I think you should be able to order them, and then you should be given that page that you talked about. Yeah, because there we go. It'd solve all of our issues. If every fish sold had to have its information about, the base requirements and the actual size and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I think they just shouldn't be an impulse purchase. Skipper came in. Hi, Skipper. And he came down and it says, it's Rico's hearing aid beeping. I only hear it once in a while. It must be something within the stream software, I'm guessing, because
Like right now, I don't hear it.
Hmm.
But it comes and goes. Nope, there it is. So I don't know if it's like
I don't hear anything. It's not coming
now
through.
it's loud, but not loud. It's anyways. We've only got a couple minutes left, so let's hurry through these last few. Coral, hi Coral. What's your favorite fish to eat? Do you like to eat fish, and would you keep one in an aquarium?
I do like to eat fish. My favorite fish. I like red snapper. That's good. I like red snapper. And the other one is a aquarium fish.
Well, would you keep that fish in an aquarium?
No, I wouldn't keep red snapper in an aquarium. The other fish I like is tilapia, and I probably could keep that in an aquarium. A big one. But yeah, no, I could. Red snapper it's an ocean fish, I think.
Zenny had left and said she didn't get to her question for the anime or YouTube. What was your answer again for that one? You could only have anime, or you could only have YouTube, but not both.
I couldn't answer it.
Yeah, you said, I can't remember what you said. You said,
it would be the Fish Fam, because then I would read mangas instead.
There you go. So you still get it, just not the video. Okay, scrolling way down. We're actually at the end, so I want to get these last few in. Oh, there's a bunch more. So I'm going to miss some questions because it's actually already 9 o'clock. Bunch of good streams going on still tonight. I'm going to do one last one. Ask Babs. Does anybody else call you Babs? I know Barbara, it's a common nickname, but does anybody call you that?
I hated it, and I would get mad when anybody tried to call me that, but I don't call it anymore. So nobody used to call me that at all. But at my old age, I don't care.
Yeah. Well, I don't think Babs is the proper one because we all know it's Batgirl. Well, it's got to be Batgirl. That's what her nickname is. Ask Babs if a line in the sand was drawn and she had to pick, is she a crazy cat person or an adorable dog person? He said he might be biased.
That is a tough one. I like cats. I am not a cat hater, but I'm pretty allergic to them. So I'm going to have to go with Team Dog.
Yeah, I'm a dog person for sure. All right.
Cats are fun.
We're gonna end it now because we're already over, and I don't want to go over too much longer over other people. But hey, everybody, thanks for joining us. Remember, this Saturday there won't be a focus on. This Saturday is the Fish Fam auction, the 17th on Skipper's channel. So make sure you go check that out. It'll be in the same time slot, the 8 to 10 or 8 to whenever they're done. Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Skipper's channel. Make sure you check that out. And then, so we'll get back to the focus-ons next Tuesday. And I honestly don't remember who our next guest, but I do need some more guests. So if you'd like to come up on the focus-on, or you don't even mind, if you just don't mind letting me add you to the list, my email address is at the top of the screen. Just shoot a quick email. Just say, hey, focus on. That's all you got to do. And I'll add you to the list. Would love to be able to get there. I'm sorry?
I said it's not as scary once you get here as it seems like it would be.
So, honestly, you felt a little nervous. Again, this is your very first live stream. You've done video stuff, but first live stream ever before, right?
Yeah, but I'm not on any of my videos. They're all...
Well, but you were saying like Zoom stuff and things, meetings like that, right?
That's just the other person.
Yeah. So you felt nervous, but how did you feel once we got into a little bit? Did that nervousness really go away pretty quick?
Yeah, it mostly did. It's like you were right. Like you kind of forget about it and you just have a conversation.
Yeah. Good, because that's the goal. Thanks, everybody. Is there anything that you'd like to tell us before we go, Barbara? Is there anything, again, I know did we miss anything? Is there anything that you'd like to tell us?
Nothing big. You covered it pretty good. I am going to be working towards putting more content out. I'm at a point where I think I would enjoy that, but I'm just going to do the shorts for a while because those are easy.
They are very easy. Yeah. And it still counts. It's still content.
Yeah.
So, okay. Thanks, everybody. And we'll see you guys when we see you. Have a good night.